If I am in need for working capital for my business, I don't want to wait 5 weeks. I want to get access to that now. I need it now. Normally you respond to something that happens, so you want to have access to that working capital fast. You want to save time, so that's one. The other one is fairness. If you're judged upon something that you did 1.5 years ago, hence the annual report and the credit report, that's very old performance. Why not get valued on the performance today? If your business is growing in a good trend, that's what you want to be valued at, not what you did a long time ago. So that will then, of course, be better for some and not so much better for some. But it's more fair. You get the correct pricing and the correct limits at that given time. So I think speed and the fairness in terms of pricing.
Michael, great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking time to speak to us.
Great to be here. Thanks.
All right, well, let's just start a conversation. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Michael, based in Stockholm. I'm a serial entrepreneur and also been a very active angel investor, investing in more than 20 startups over the years.
Okay.
So that's what I've done for a living. And I'm one of the founders of Capcito and Monto, and those companies are born out of frustration from challenges of finding working capital to growing companies.
Right.
So that's kind of why I'm here.
Okay.
And the day-to-day work, actually, I'm in group management now with Fortnox, the largest cloud ERP in the Nordics. They acquired Capcito and Monto end of last year, end of 2021.
Okay.
So now I'm in the group management there, running a business area called Money.
Money?
Yes.
Very fitting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So financial services to small and medium-sized businesses.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about credit worthiness, because it's an area that we don't really hear a lot about, at least not within fintech. But we know that is absolutely is crucial towards enabling companies to get access to credit. So tell us a little bit, in your perspective, what's the problem with the way in which the system rates the worthiness of credit that companies have?
Okay. First of all, the challenge has been access to data to make decisions upon. Like credit bureaus normally make credit reports, which are based on the latest annual report, and that can be 1.5 years old data. And of course, that's combined with new relevant data, like from the tax authorities and etc. But in the core, it's very old data. So that's kind of how the model works historically, and that's what we wanted to change with Capcito and Monto, to use real-time accounting data in the cloud and through APIs access that, and then on that data make more reliable, more accurate, more faster credit decisions. So there's a big shift there now, and there's been a reluctance to address the needs of small and medium-sized businesses from the large incumbent banks, mainly because of the access to data, that they can't really be fast and efficient in the process of handling credit applications and dealing with smaller customers. So that's why we have a large funding gap for small and medium-sized businesses, pretty much all around the world.
Okay, and so more specifically, what is Monto and Capcito doing in order to address this challenge and to make sure that there's available data to go about making those decisions?
So Monto is spun out of when we built Capcito, which was then a direct lender of our own balance sheet. We needed to build the technology to empower that business, and Monto is the outcome of that. And through Monto's credit intelligence platform, we have different tools for connecting to cloud accounting platforms to access and also send back accounting data. And we can assess that data, and on top of that we can then analyze and share insights on that data. For example, balance sheet or profits and loss statements on the fly. We can do cash flow forecast projections, and out of that we can make even smarter credit intelligence system decisions. So that's pretty much what Monto is offering to the market, and we provide that to large incumbent banks, to factoring companies or other direct lenders or businesses who wants to access real-time accounting data.
And so with the extra availability of data, how is the process actually changing, and how can you make more accurate decisions for credit?
First of all, speed. If I have in need for working capital for my business, I don't want to wait 5 weeks. I want to get access to that now. I need it now. Normally you respond to something that happens, so you want to have access to that working capital fast. You want to save time, so that's one. The other one is fairness. If you're judged upon something that you did 1.5 years ago, hence the annual report and the credit report, that's very old performance. Why not get valued on the performance today? If your business is growing in a good trend, that's what you want to be valued at, not what you did a long time ago. So that will then, of course, be better for some and not so much better for some, but it's more fair. You get more the correct pricing and the correct limits at that given time. So I think speed and, the fairness in terms of pricing. And of course, over time, if this really, becomes a de facto standard everywhere, you will get better prices because everyone will save time and energy and control risk even more with monitoring. So if you can have access to this real-time data and see how your performance of your businesses, like your customers then from a credit provider, you can monitor that and also see over time where you have risk taking off or where you need to pay attention. But you can also see where you can support customers going forward much faster. So it's a win-win for everyone, and over time it will lead to better prices to everyone.
And would you say that up until now this has not been done? Is it because the data just doesn't exist, or is it because it exists but it's just very difficult to get to?
Yeah, when we started Capcito in 2015, access to data was a challenge. It was very few had APIs. We even built APIs for some ERPs so we could access the data. So now everyone has it. So that's been a challenge. But if from a large incumbent bank, it's also been about priority. They have thousands of products, and the biggest ones are, of course, a reasonable internet bank, so you can log on and pay some bills, check your saldo or whatever. So small business credits comes, further down on the priority list. So that's also, I think, one of the reasons. But it's been picking up a lot in the last few years.
Right.
So access to data, a priority from the large incumbent banks. So that's kind of two main ones, I would say.
Right. Now, critics of the increased amount of data being used for things like credit worthiness might say that we are nearing a system that is rewarding organizations for following certain norms or certain socially approved standards, like, for example, ESG. Would you say that there is a risk that we might be walking into a situation where we're creating a social scoring system, but for companies in the same way that we've seen in other countries?
To some extent, yes, but would that be a bad thing? I think there are hundreds of, maybe 1,000 providers of credits. If you look around in the Nordics, at least. If you go to Germany, a lot more in Europe. There's always someone who wants to address your need. So you might not get what you want from the large incumbent bank, but there is others that want to provide that. Right. So I think as long as you're okay with sharing data, which we all do, we leave footprints everywhere. Facebook, Google, wherever. They know more about me than I do myself, maybe.
Right.
So I think that's kind of, a consequence, but it's also something for the better. Because I can get faster support with my business. I can maybe grow faster with that, and recruit more people. Employ whatever. So I think it comes with lots of benefits. So I think you have to trade something to get the other.
Right. So I guess the real value about this is just adding a transparency that the data can provide, and if they're in an open market, if there's a need, then there will always be a player that will be able to supply.
Yeah, from my need perspective. But then it comes down to, like from Fortnox, we take data extremely seriously. We want to protect the customer's data. It's not our data, we can use it and for decisions, but it's the customer's data and we want to protect that. Right. So we take that very seriously, and from Monto's perspective as well. So save as much data as we can and not throw it away freely. That's not how we operate. So that's also something we want to work very, very hard with to protect the customer's data and make sure it's used in the right way.
Right.
So that's another dimension of it.
Okay, and in your view, how will credit worthiness look like, let's say, in 2025? What will have changed by then?
From our perspective, or our vision is pretty much to be able to put your cash flow on autopilot. So if you run your business, we will, with the data, be able to inform you that you have a cash flow gap in 3 weeks' time, and this is how you can solve it. And potentially long term, if you want to, we can do it automatically for you, both ways. So maybe you have too much cash on your bank account, we can deposit it elsewhere, and you make better interest on your money. So put your cash flow on autopilot. That would be the way forward, and you can just run your business and go out and sell more and whatever, do more with your business, and don't worry about that. We will take care of it.
Right.
So I think that's kind of what we could get out of it in the end.
Yeah. Well, I think that sounds like a very exciting future, especially for SMEs that we know that they struggle with cash flow.
Yeah.
So, well, I think it's a fantastic innovation, and we look forward to seeing more coming out of Monto and Capcito, and
great,
all these fantastic innovations they have.
Cool.
All right. Well,
good.
Thank you so much for taking time to speak to us. We, of course, look forward to seeing you at Nordic FinTech Week in September.
Yeah, great. So am I.